Hello, good afternoon students. Good afternoon students, here Sonoo Sir with a new video of class 8 S.St. And in that we are taking our civics portion. So students, if we see civics, the Hindi meaning of civics is Nagarik Shastra. The document, the book is for citizen of the country. The constitution is in that. Parliamentary house system, president, prime minister, whole administration system is read in civics. So students, we have been on chapter 2, the parliamentary system of government. Parliamentary system of government, and in that we are on topic Lok Sabha. Friends, we have been discussed about President's power, Prime Minister's power and Council of Ministers. As you know, President is head of state and Prime Minister is head of government. President is nominal head while the whole power is constituted with Prime Minister, as without his suggestion or without suggestion of councils of ministers and Prime Minister, President can't do anything. And at the same time, we see there are two parliamentary house for central administration, and in that first is Lok Sabha and then second is Rajya Sabha. Students, Rajya Sabha is known as upper house. Upper house, if you see in Hindi, Uch Sadan, and Lok Sabha is lower house, that is Nimna Sadan. In Lok Sabha, elected members of different constituencies, that is member of parliament seat. So different legislative assemblies, that is there is MP seats in different constituencies, and by election of there the popular candidate wins and elected for Lok Sabha member, that is member of parliament, and the demand and the work of that regime, that constituency is having responsibility for him or her who is elected by that Lok Sabha seat, and the head of and the leader of these Lok Sabha elected members, and majority of a party and majority of a group which is forming government, the leader of that group is Prime Minister and is also the leader of Lok Sabha. So the powerful house is Lok Sabha. Elsewhere it is known as lower house, but the powerful house is Lok Sabha, because the elected members in Lok Sabha do the works according to their public demand and public opinion, and Prime Minister is head of that government, that councils of ministers, and by that the administration is formed and occurred. So students, in your course book, page number 119, our topic is Lok Sabha, and in that we are talking about the composition of Lok Sabha. The maximum strength of the Lok Sabha is 552. So in Lok Sabha, the maximum members would be 552. This includes 2 members of the Anglo-Indian community. What is Anglo-Indian community? Anglo-Indian community. That means the British or the Christians who are till now in India living as citizen of our country. So these 2 members of Anglo-Indian, nominated by the President of India, and accept, and is that 550 member. The number of members that can represent the constituent state is 530. So as we know, there are 28 states and 9 union territories. So this has been administered. So 530 members from 28 states are elected and 9 union territories are there. So 20 members from these 9 union territories are elected, and that is 550. And 2 members are nominated by President, and they have to be Anglo-Indian. So student, this is composition of Lok Sabha, and special provisions are made for reservation of seats for the scheduled castes, SCs and scheduled tribes, STs, and thus 131 seats are reserved from them. Students, it is very important to know that 131 seats are reserved. What is reserved? That is, if you see the Hindi meaning of reserved, that is Arakshit. So students, 131 seats among 530 seats is, or 550 seats or 532 seats is reserved for ST and SC tribes. So what is SC, students? That is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. ST forms or stands for scheduled tribes, and SC stands for scheduled caste. So students, if you see the Hindi meaning of this, scheduled caste means Anusuchit Jati, and if you see scheduled tribe, that is Anusuchit Janjati. So these tribes mainly lived in mountain area or forest, and the scheduled caste, which is is known as Dalit, or the caste and breeds who are living in below poverty line and somehow and being discriminated by other people and have been survived some poor life and having some low distributed resources taken and given to them. So students, these scheduled caste and scheduled tribes have been empowered in our Lok Sabha, and 131 seats is reserved for these 2 tribes and these 2 castes, SC and ST, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So students, to become a member of the Lok Sabha, a person must. What is the requirement and eligibility of a person for he or she to become a member of Lok Sabha? Students, he or she would be a citizen of India. First important, eligibility is there. He or she who is going to stand for Lok Sabha election or going to contest Lok Sabha election has to be member of or citizen of India and be at least 25 years of age. Minimum age have to be 25 years and not to be bankrupt or mentally unsound. What is bankrupt? Bankrupt means Diwaliya. What is Diwaliya? If somebody has taken loan by a bank and hasn't returned and somehow has been defaulted for that bank and is bankrupt or having not a kind of asset, because to stand in election there should be some security money and some asset. So if somebody is bankrupt, cannot be stand for election. Students, this is very important. And then we see mentally unsound. She or he should not have to be mentally unsound. Mentally unsound. If you see the Hindi, so दिमागी तौर पे ठीक होना चाहिए, दिमागी तौर पे गड़बड़ नहीं होना चाहिए, and or a proclaimed criminal, and she or he would not have to be and haven't done any kind of criminality, any kind of crime, and there should be not any record in court anywhere of crime of them. So these three things is very important. He or she not have to be bankrupt, not have to be mentally unsound or proclaimed criminal. So not hold any office of profit under the state or the central government. And if somebody is standing for MP or Lok Sabha election, should have to be, not have to be on any government post, central government either of state government, and declare his or her assets and liabilities to file nomination for elections. And she or he has to declare his or her assets. What is the assets? Say sampati or dhan sampada. So he or she has to be declare his or her asset before he or she stands for election. And what is a term? What is the time period of Lok Sabha? The term of Lok Sabha is 5 years. Usually a term of Lok Sabha is 5 years. In case of an emergency, this term may be extended by the Parliament for 1 year at a time, and this can be extended in case of emergency by the Parliament for a year in one time. For a time only for 1 year, it can be extended, not for second time. So if there is question maximum year of Lok Sabha can be, so it can be for 6 years, because 1 year can be extended in state of emergency, in situation of emergency. Then we students see procedure for elections. What is the procedure for election in Lok Sabha? All the citizens of India above 18 years of age have the right to vote and elect their representatives to the Lok Sabha. For the purpose of elections, the country is divided into different constituencies. So this constituencies has been known, students, for further address. So students, there is a word constituencies. Constituencies. So these constituencies, that means you see the Hindi Lok Sabha seating. So according to population and area, these constituencies has made in different states and Indian territories. So students, these constituencies are divided among the states and union territories on the basis of their population. So according to population, regarding the population, these distribution of constituencies have been made up of there, and these constituencies are divided among the states and union territories on the basis of their population. A candidate who contests election may represent a political party or can also be an independent candidate. So anybody can independent candidate, and at the same time anybody can contest election on the banner of a party, and anybody can contest the election with independent candidature. So students, 18 years of age is right to vote age, and anybody can give vote. Maybe have to be a citizen of India and can vote for these the Lok Sabha members. And voting during elections is done by secret ballot, and there will be secret ballot box, and in that secret voting is held and occurred. And as we see, electronic voting machines, that is EVMs, are used nowadays to great extent, and nowadays electronic voting machine has been used, that is known as EVM, and the candidate with the highest number of votes becomes the representative of his or her constituency to the Lok Sabha. So many candidates stand for a constituencies, and who wins the vote and their vote and maximum vote is elected for Lok Sabha constituency and that Lok Sabha seat. And the election to the Indian legislature are conducted by an independent body known as Election Commission of India. And this election for India's legislature is parliamentary system, and two legislature has been Lok Sabha and S.St. So this election is conducted by Election Commission of India, which is independent which is independent body, election commission, which is independent body, स्वतंत्र निकाय, this is election commission, चुनाव आयोग. The election commission is an independent body which is not responsible for anyone. They frame the rule of election, and by their guidance this election has been held. And students, now we are talking about presiding officer. Who is presiding officer of Lok Sabha? So the speaker is the presiding officer of Lok Sabha. What is presiding officer? Presiding officer, अध्यक्षता करने वाला अधिकारी, अध्यक्षता करने वाला अधिकारी. So who is presiding officer of Lok Sabha? The speaker is elected and the speaker, Lok Sabha Adhyaksh. In English it is known as speaker. In Hindi you can say Lok Sabha Adhyaksh. So speaker is known as presiding officer of Lok Sabha, and he or she conducts the and generally belongs to the ruling party. So this presiding officer is generally belong to the ruling party, Satta Paksh. So this speaker is generally belong to ruling party, Satta Paksh, and sometimes when no party gets the majority, a coalition government type of government formed by two or more political parties. So sometimes there is no, if students you have to know that there should be 2/3 vote to be major party of in Lok Sabha. So if any party is not voted of 2/3 in Parliament in Lok Sabha, so then coalition of different party. What is coalition? That means govt. So students, coalition of different parties is being there if there is not majority of a government, and that time some two and more than two political parties formed a government that is known as coalition government. The parties in opposition to the ruling party are termed as opposition parties. They keep check on the policies and laws made by the ruling party. And there is at the same time opposition party. If you see the Hindi meaning of that is Vipaksh. This is ruling party Satta Paksh, and this is opposition party Vipaksh. And opposition party is responsible to check the implementation of laws and policies and what is framing in Parliament. So opposition can check and argue for that policies and rules which is made by government. Then student, there is a topic, role of the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha is a powerful house, as the leader of the majority party in Lok Sabha becomes the Prime Minister of the country. So the leader of majority party who gets majority votes in Parliament and having more seats and most seats in Parliament are forming government, and the head of that major party becomes the Prime Minister of our country. That is why the powerful house as the leader of majority party in the Lok Sabha becomes the Prime Minister. So Lok Sabha is known as powerful house because the leader of elected members of Lok Sabha becomes Prime Minister, and the Council of Ministers is responsible to the Lok Sabha, and at the same time in under of Prime Minister, Council of Ministers form, and they are also responsible for Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha, presiding officer can check the performance and conduction of work of councils of ministers and can check the policies and framework of them, and at the same time can check the details what is works on the ground level. And the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers can be dismissed by the Lok Sabha by a vote of no confidence. And if there is no confidence, if you see no confidence motion has been passed by opposition leader or opposition party. No confidence means अविश्वास, no confidence, अविश्वास. So sometimes no confidence motion, that is अविश्वास मत, has been passed in Parliament if there is the counting of the numbers of government MPs. If there is less number of government MPs, or there is any kind of situation by that the MPs of ruling party decrease from the party and somehow join different parties, and if there is any kind of no confidence by opposition, and more the votes are given to the opposition because of no confidence motion on the government, so government can be dismissed, prime minister can be dismissed, councils of ministers can be dismissed. That is why students, the major vote is should be there, and for 5 years that members of the government should be interconnected and have to perform the correct duties and correct actions. If there is any kind of no confidence motion from the opposite side, it can be dismissal of prime minister and chief minister, but it can be only happen in the situation of less vote and in the situation of instability of government. Otherwise, if there is not sufficient or appropriate vote for the government opposition, no confidence motion will not be passed. So students, today we discussed about Lok Sabha, composition of Lok Sabha, terms, the period time of Lok Sabha which it runs, procedure of elections and presiding officers, formation of government and the role of Lok Sabha. So very important topic we have discussed today, students. If something I have been left, you can ask on my number, and in homework you have to write a small summary on this topic. In next topic we will meet with a new topic, that is Rajya Sabha. Students, till then, have a nice day. Thank you.